Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to our Partner Academy live webcast. This is DataZen Mobile BI. Kicking us off today is our Microsoft host, Jeannie Kroll, who is a Senior Product Marketing Manager. Jeannie, you now have the floor.
Thanks, Debbie. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to welcome DataZen today to talk about their innovative mobile BI product that both extends and complements our platform. DataZen, more than any other product that I've encountered recently, has really generated a huge groundswell of field interest. And so I think this will be a great opportunity for everyone to learn more about what they can do and how they can help us grow our platform. They have a completely visually stunning data analytics solution that runs on any mobile device, creating strong pull-through potential for SQL Server, Azure, and their Microsoft devices. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Miljan, their CEO, who is going to tell us more and demo the product for us today.
Thank you very much, Debbie and Jeannie, for the introduction, and thank you all for joining. Today we're going to talk about mobile business intelligence and how DataZen can help you deliver compelling solutions to your customers while driving new sales of Microsoft products, specifically the SQL Server family of products, but also Windows Azure and Microsoft Windows 8 and Windows Phone devices. So we're quite excited to proceed. Here is our agenda for today. We'll start with a very brief company introduction, just to give you some context for where this technology is coming from. Then we'll go into the overview of the DataZen product. We go through a few slides to showcase what our unique approach is and the competitive advantage in the marketplace. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about Microsoft product pull-through specifically. Then we'll go through a few slides showcasing some feature highlights and the overall product elements and how all of those pieces fit together. And then we'll put the slides away and show the product in action. We'll start by showing the product from the point of view of the user, starting with the Windows 8 Viewer app. Following that, we'll show the Windows 8 Publisher app, which is quite interesting and arguably the most compelling piece of intellectual property that we bring to the table. So we'll show how this content is created and published. Then we'll take a little bit of time to show the mobile viewer apps. We'll focus on the iOS app, so we'll show the iPad experience and iPhone experience. And we'll talk about Android and Windows Phone clients as well. And then we'll finish off the product demo by showcasing the DataZen Server part of the product. So basically we'll show how we connect to enterprise data sources like SQL Server, SQL Analysis Services, or SharePoint lists, and so forth, as well as how content is managed on the server and how it can be accessed through any web browser using our HTML5 viewer. And we'll close off by showcasing SharePoint UI integration. The product can utilize SharePoint as a data source, but it can also integrate within the SharePoint UI, which is what we're going to be showing. And then we're hoping to have enough time for next steps. We'll talk about how you can engage DataZen, and we'll be happy to take your questions. Okay, so DataZen software has been around for over 12 years. We've been a Microsoft partner for over 12 years. We've partnered predominantly on the Visual Studio side of things because our heritage is developer tools. We formerly used to be called Component Art, and a lot of people in the developer community know us under that name. We specialized in creating original data visualization technology and UI technology that we were licensing to developer teams worldwide, and they would use our technology to build custom solutions or shrink-wrap products. And then a few years ago, we decided to use our own technology and implement an integrated product aimed at the next generation of devices. We really wanted to build it for the next decade, and this is how DataZen came about. We released the product in February 2013, and it gained recognition pretty quickly, almost immediately. It was recognized by the major research firms, but also customers and partners. So we have quite a few success stories already under our belt. One of the more prominent is our partnership with Avanade. Avanade acquired the DataZen white label license in early 2014, and they released it under the brand Avanade Touch Analytics. So during this process, our technology was vetted for very large deployments into big companies. So this was a great vote of confidence for our technology. Another good point is that Microsoft acquired a license for an initial deployment to 1,000 users, and we're working with this group that handles reporting to 25,000 users internally within Microsoft. So this is planned to grow, and we're quite excited to be working with Microsoft. We were told that DataZen has a potential of changing the way we do reporting within Microsoft in their own words. So this is quite exciting. And then a number of Microsoft BI field teams already discovered that they can leverage DataZen in competitive situations. So some teams are particularly effective at this and are able to completely change the dynamic in customer conversations on mobility and sway customers away from the competing solutions like Tableau or ClickView, or some larger vendors as well, like SAP or Oracle and so forth. So a good reference for this would be Chris Finland and the US Mid-Atlantic Group, as well as John Bradley from Microsoft Australia. Both of these teams have been leading the charge around DataZen, and feel free to get in touch with them if you want to get the details on how DataZen can be leveraged. Okay, let's talk about the high-level points of differentiation of the product. DataZen is truly a mobile-first product. And this phrase will definitely sound familiar to people at Microsoft, but we truly designed the product that way when we started building it 3 years ago. So the entire product stack is built for mobile scenarios first. And this is a major differentiator in the marketplace because our competing products have not been implemented that way, and that becomes apparent when you start using them. So there are a number of scenarios, there are a number of mobile-specific considerations that need to be accounted for when designing the product from the ground up for it to be a successful mobile solution. You need to cover disconnected scenarios, so basically the ability to have live connections to data sources, but then once you lose connectivity, to still be able to use all of your content, all of the KPIs, and fully utilize the dashboards in offline mode. This is something that traditional desktop solutions don't need to work with, and it's really a fundamental architecture of the product that needs to account for this. So we support this feature currently in Windows 8 only, and very shortly, by the end of this year, it's in the pipeline to be supported by all of the mobile platforms. Then there are unique security considerations around mobile. Then you have a UI, which needs to be really designed from the ground up for touch and variable screen form factors. We have multiple mobile platforms that need to be supported. So all of this was taken into account when we designed the product from the ground up. So we built it for mobile scenarios first, and then we upscale it to larger, more traditional form factors like desktops, laptops, or even big screens. So our approach is to cover the entire BI presentation layer with emphasis on mobile and then upscaling to traditional form factors. When you put DataZen next to another product like, let's say, Tableau or ClickView, that uses the opposite approach of starting with the traditional form factors like laptops and workstations, and then scaling them down to mobile, you can tell very quickly which of those products was actually designed for mobile, and this is where one of our main points of differentiation lies. Also, DataZen is the only BI product with native clients for all major mobile platforms. So we have native clients for Windows 8, Windows Phone, iOS, and Android. No other mobile BI product has native clients for all of these. We have a very sophisticated touch-based mobile dashboard designer, which is a single integrated publishing environment for all platforms and all form factors. I'll be showing that later. We're quite excited about that one. We showcase very deep integration with the entire Microsoft product stack. So going from SQL Server, SQL Analysis Services, SharePoint, Excel as this sole disconnected data source for local access, but as well as deployments to Windows Azure, and then are leaning towards Windows 8 and Windows Phone as the client platforms. And then finally on this slide we should point out our premium licensing model as one of the major points of differentiation as well, because all DataZen clients are offered for free, including the DataZen Publisher Windows 8 client, which is quite capable. Customers are able to create unlimited dashboards from local Excel data and share it with other Windows 8 users for free. So this covers quite a few scenarios with the free edition and is designed to enable customers to very quickly get up and running with the product. Let's talk about Microsoft product pull-through. DataZen deployments enable new sales of Microsoft products in the following areas: the SQL Server and its family of products, Windows, Azure, as well as Windows devices. For SQL Server, a key point to note is that DataZen Server is not a database. It doesn't act as a data repository. It relies on SQL Server for data storage and all of the real-time queries. So every DataZen Server deployment increases the load on SQL or SSAS infrastructure, and any non-trivial deployment requires dedicated SQL and SSAS resources. For Windows Azure, we architected the product to be very easily deployed within Windows Azure. And to be clear, we don't manage this at DataZen side, so we let the customer decide how they would like to deploy DataZen, whether they would like to go on-premise or in their own managed version of, in their own managed Azure environment. We are noticing that customers are lately moving towards Azure more and more, and we're making this quite easy for them, and we're making a point of doing all of the POCs in Azure, which they're very quick to get up and running and show this the promise of Azure to customers quite clearly. And then devices. So we've had situations where the customer considers deploying or purchasing hundreds of Windows 8 devices just to be able to run DataZen in the field. So this is another area where we can help with a Microsoft product pull-through. I've prepared a few slides here to talk about the overall feature highlights. I'll be showing all of this in action shortly, but just to kind of give you the overview of the most important features with a few slides. So let's start with the KPI repository. With DataZen, you can create a repository, a fairly large repository of KPIs where you can display key metrics right on the main screen, along with the optional trends and status for each KPI. And the key point is this integrates seamlessly into the user interface of all of the available clients. And then customers can assign related dashboards to each KPI where the users can drill through and perform further analysis to discover why the values in the particular KPI are the way they are. Then we have data visualization and analysis itself. This is really the core feature, the ability to create dashboards and reports and scorecards that are quite useful and interactive and convey the information well visually, while working in all screen form factors and all screen and all mobile platforms. So I'll be showing these in action very shortly. Then we have the notion of integrated collaboration. So each element in the DataZen hierarchy, so everything that's published, each published element like a KPI or a dashboard, can have associated activity feed where users can post comments, exchange information, as well as we can track key events in the hub related to that particular object, for example, when it was created, when it was updated, and so forth. It's quite lightweight. I'll be showing it later on. It's very immersive and easy to use. And then this is one of my personal favorites in terms of features, the ability to incorporate custom branding throughout the entire product stack. So this is unique in the marketplace. It really is pleasing to customers and is a competitive advantage that we are really utilizing in our collaboration with Microsoft field teams, where essentially it is very easy with DataZen, the product has been architected this way, to create brand packages that completely customize the look and feel of all clients. So Windows 8, Windows Phone, iOS, Android, as well as the HTML clients are fully customized, and they essentially look like custom-built apps with customers' branding and data. And again, this is not hard to do, and we make a point of doing this even for customer presentations, even without the full POC implementation. So here are a few examples of how this branding kind of works in action. Fortescue is one of our customers in Australia. We collaborated with Microsoft Australia on Fortescue deployment. This is a graphic design mockup. This is not real data, just to clarify that. Here's another example. Carlsberg is a POC that we just delivered with Microsoft Denmark. It is getting great reviews. We are really looking forward to the next steps there. Similarly, we have Discovery Education in our collaboration with US Mid-Atlantic, also POC in progress. And here's Microsoft's own branding in DataZen, which we created for Microsoft's deployment. So hopefully this gives you an idea of the types of the level of extensibility of branding, and then I'll be showing one of these brand packages in action shortly in the demo. I only have a couple of slides left to show the high-level product elements so you can see how everything fits together. So we have viewer apps, as we mentioned. They are offered for all of the mobile platforms. All of the clients have essentially, all of the viewer apps have essentially the same features. They connect to DataZen server, they can access the published dashboards and KPIs, they enable collaboration within the BI hub. We enable storing KPI data on the device for offline access. This is available in all platforms. And then we also allow storing dashboard data. Obviously, all of this is encrypted at rest at any point. But we, in Windows 8, currently enable storing full dashboard data on the device for offline access, and this feature, it will be rolled out to other clients very soon. Then we have the Publisher app, which is a Windows 8 only app. This app is used to create and publish DataZen content. As I mentioned previously, it is a single point of publishing, and it is quite easy, quite powerful and easy to use at the same time, so we'll be showing it later on. And then we have the DataZen server component, which is deployed into the customer's environment. It is connected to data sources in the security infrastructure and is used to publish content for consumption by a large number of users. In fact, this is what a typical kind of simplified deployment looks like. This is a simplified diagram where you essentially see DataZen server rolled out into the customer's environment. It's connected to the authentication mechanism. Typically, this is Active Directory, but we support other authentication methods. Then we are connected to enterprise data sources. And then a DataZen server typically sits in some sort of demilitarized zone where it can be accessed over HTTPS by the clients. This includes the Publisher app, but also all of the viewer apps. So they securely access DataZen server, and they don't need to be able to see any of the other parts of the infrastructure. So they don't need to see the databases directly or anything like that. Everything is proxied through DataZen server, and it's a quite elegant architecture that's not hard to deploy. And finally, the web browser also connects to DataZen server directly through HTTPS. So that's it for the slides. As promised, I'm going to put them away and focus on showing the product in action. So I hope you can still see my screen. Debbie, if you can confirm, that would be great.
We're good. Keep going.
Okay, very good. So here I have two DataZen apps, both installed for free from the Windows Store. So there's the DataZen Viewer app and the DataZen Publisher. So we'll start with the viewer. We'll start with by showing the product from the point of view of the user. So as a user, I already connected to our demo server here. So when I start my app, my experience is quite seamless. I open the app and I'm able to consume my content right away. And when we say content, we mean two things. We mean key metrics or KPIs that are accessible right on the main screen, as well as full-blown dashboards and scorecards and reports. So all of this content is connected to live data sources and is published using the DataZen Publisher app. My experience for interacting with this content is quite seamless and immersive. So basically, we implement native UI paradigms for all of the mobile platforms, and this is what it looks like in Windows 8. So when I select a KPI, I see the overview of the KPI at the top. I can see the list of related dashboards or the details behind this KPI, so I can drill through and perform analysis around this KPI very easily. And then I have the hub activity feed associated to each KPI. So you can see how the content is quite easy and seamless to consume. The activity feed is very simple and lightweight. You can almost think of it as a Twitter feed for each element that we publish in DataZen. So moving along, we'll show some actual dashboards in action just to give you an idea about the types of things that can be created in DataZen. This won't be exhaustive by any means at this point. We just want to provide a few examples to give you a taste of what's possible. So we'll start with the sales versus targets dashboard. This is a very simple dashboard, maybe the simplest possible dashboard. You only have one metric over time versus a target, but it shows you what it looks like when you visualize using DataZen. So we have a fairly large data set which we can burn through quite easily and quickly. You'll notice that all of the UI is very comfortable to use for touch. I can make selections very easily. I can perform analysis on my selection down here. I can drill down into a particular time segment, or I can use this resizable scroll bar to roll up and make another selection. You notice that I can very easily select one of the presets. So as I mentioned, the UI is optimized and designed for touch from the ground up, but I happen to be using this app currently in our boardroom with a keyboard and mouse and our big boardroom screen, and everything upscales gracefully quite easily. So this again demonstrates our approach overall. So I'll show a few more examples just to give you an idea. Let's show the marketing dashboard. We have the funnel, lead conversion funnel visualization. We still are able to make time-based selections and visualize trends in using this line chart. One key point to note is that DataZen content, when it is published, is very self-explanatory and easy to use and doesn't require training to be rolled out to a large number of users. When you compare that to a product like Tableau, which is quite a bit more complex and perhaps more geared towards data analysts, Tableau always requires training, some level of training before it can be useful to end users. So DataZen is much more user-friendly product in terms of end users and the ability for it to be rolled out to a larger number of users. So going through a couple more dashboard examples, we'll go with the corporate scorecard. This example doesn't have time-based navigation, but we do have this hierarchical navigation here on the left. We're calling this element the scorecard grid. So you can include any number of columns and any number of any types of content within the column. You can have gauges and numbers and so forth. And then when users make selections, those selections drive the rest of the dashboard. And then I can perform analysis on the selection as I see fit. And the final one I'll show today is category and trend dashboard. This one has both time-based filtering or time-based slicing, as well as category selection. So I can make time selection and then select a category here that affects the rest of the dashboard. So a key point here to note here is that we're not dealing with a predefined set of dashboard templates that you have to work your data into. On the contrary, all of these dashboards that were designed using our designer, which enables the creation of any reasonable dashboard layout with any reasonable collection of metrics and ways of interacting with the data, while at the same time guaranteeing that what you're creating will work perfectly in any screen form factor and on any device type. So this is the unique thing that we bring to the table and brings me to my next topic of DataZen Publisher. So go back to my Windows 8 home screen and select the DataZen Publisher app. Again, this is a free app. You can very easily find it in the store, and you can do everything that I'm going to be showing. You can try yourself. It's quite fun to do, especially on a touch device. So the Publisher app looks and feels the same in terms of the main screen, so you can connect to the same server and view the same content, but it has the all-important ability to create new content. And I'll show you how easy that is. So to create a new dashboard, I'll just select Create from the main menu, and then I get two options. I can start from an empty dashboard, or I can use an existing dashboard as a starting template. So we kind of get the best of both worlds here. I'll start with an empty dashboard. So this is our dashboard designer. On the left-hand side, we have a collection of dashboard elements, and in the center is our design grid. Notice that I can change the number of rows and columns in my design grid, but even when I make it quite as small as it gets, the grid is quite coarse. This is a key point, because we guarantee that any one of our elements will be able to fulfill its purpose and look great in any number, any increment of these squares. So essentially, regardless of how much real estate I'm able to provide to this element, it will always fit and look great and fulfill its purpose entirely. So this is a key paradigm that's been implemented throughout the entire product gallery. To show you how well this works in action, I'll create a full dashboard layout. So I'll add our time navigator, and notice that it already comes pre-configured to enable date range selections with an accompanying visualization. So down here I can set a number of visual properties. For example, I can change the visualization type, or I can change the drill down levels for time, or the time range preset down here. But the point is that the element is already pre-configured, and the entire gallery is done that way. So rather than exposing one chart control with 1,000 properties, we have this gallery of charts that are already pre-configured for certain scenarios. Like, for example, this comparison time chart is already pre-configured to compare two sets of series over time. So it has the front set of series and the back set of series and the delta strip. And then we can change some settings here, like visualization type, but we make sure that all of the settings that we expose are appropriate for this particular visualization type. So as a consequence, you actually, when you raise the level of abstraction like this, the number of properties you need to expose is a lot lower, which makes the design experience easier and simpler. So I'll complete my layout by adding math control, and then I'll run a preview of my dashboard. And What's interesting here is that my dashboard runs already, even though I haven't provided any real data to it. This is because we generate simulated data at design time as you're creating your dashboard layout. And the structure of this data, I'll switch to the data view. The structure of the data, the simulated data, is such that it matches the data needs or requirements of the dashboard you are designing. And the structure is automatically adjusted as you add and remove elements in your dashboard. So this makes DataZen a very useful and easy to use dashboard mockup tool, because you can, even if you don't have access to data, you can very easily and quickly mock up a dashboard, maybe even in front of a customer, and brainstorm, use the design surface to brainstorm the concepts, and then worry about connecting data later. But once you do have data, connecting to it is quite easy from DataZen. So you simply select Add Data from the top menu here, and then you get two options. You can add local Excel data. This option essentially enables you to browse for your Excel file and then pick the worksheets you would like to include in your dashboard. Or the more interesting option is to connect to DataZen server and to see all of the data, live enterprise data sources that have been already configured with DataZen server. So I'll show you what that looks like. So we have this nice interface that enables us to browse the list of available data sources. So these are all of the hubs that I'm a part of on this server. I can select a hub that has some interesting SQL Server and SSAS data. So these are some SQL and SSAS connections that have been created here, along with a number of data views. And I can, these have been configured on the server, and I'll be showing how we configure this later on. But from the point of view of the person creating the dashboard, I simply can browse what's been published and accessible to me and import to my dashboard. And from that point on, the rest of my dashboard design experience is the same, regardless of the data source type that I'm including in my dashboard. This means that you can very easily create data mashups within DataZen. You can include SQL Server view next to a SSAS view, next to maybe a OData view, next to an Excel view, all of these in the same dashboard, and then you simply connect your control instances, you connect them to these tables and columns to finalize your dashboard. Once you do, and once you publish this dashboard, it will be always kept up to date as per the data refresh settings you configured on the server. So we said that we guarantee that our layout, our dashboard will work perfectly in any form factor. And you can see how individual elements are scalable, and which makes the entire layout quite scalable. But we want to go further than that. We want to guarantee that this dashboard will work well in phone form factors. And for that, we have the ability to create a phone layout for each dashboard. So each dashboard has master and phone layouts. And once I switch to the phone layout, notice that I'm still within the same dashboard, but my control instances that are available to me in this view are the ones that I'm already using in the master layout. So notice that we don't do anything automatically here. We just provide a good design paradigm for a human to decide how their dashboard will work and look like on the smaller phone screen. We just make it very easy to do so. And then we can run a preview of our dashboard quite easily. And those of us who have done mobile development, targeting phones, in terms of custom development, we can appreciate how valuable having a tool like this would be, where you can, within seconds, literally have a layout that works well on the phone. And this is another major competitive advantage in the marketplace that we should emphasize. So now that we have two layouts in our dashboard, we essentially have defined everything that we need to define on the layout side of things. And when we publish the dashboard, we will, when the dashboard is accessed by a device, the DataZen runtime will determine the capabilities of the device, pick the appropriate layout, master versus phone, and then scale that layout perfectly to fit the available screen space. So this is our paradigm, or a dashboard design paradigm that enables us to guarantee that your content will render gracefully in all of these form factors. And the importance of this shouldn't be understated. When you publish a dashboard or a report these days, you really don't know what kind of device will be used to access that report. Will it be a workstation or a tablet or a phone or a big screen? And in most cases, it's all of the above. So the value of being able to create the content in a single place of publishing, like DataZen Publisher, and then connect to your data sources and publish it is quite valuable. Okay, so the final thing I'm going to show in this high-level overview of the designer is styling. We ship a collection of professionally designed styles. So these have been designed by our designers and are guaranteed to always look great. It's impossible to make an unattractive dashboard with data, and this was actually one of our design goals. So it's very easy to pick the styles from the available list, which dramatically change the look and feel of our dashboard. But more importantly, this is extensible, and we're able to enable custom definitions of dashboard styles, but much more than dashboard styles. We're going quite a few steps further and actually enabling the branding of the entire user interface of the entire application. So I'll show you that in action because it really should be seen. So I'll go back to the home screen, and I won't save this dashboard. So I'm currently connected to our demo server, and I'm a member of a few BI hubs. I'll explain the concept of BI hubs shortly when I get to the server portion. So I have one server connection, and I can add any number of server connections. This is supported by all clients. So I'm going to connect to the same server as a different user and access a hub, a BI hub that's been branded to show the branded experience. So this is a hub that we created for one of our customers who is currently evaluating the product. The hub contains some demo data. It doesn't contain real data, but it does contain real branding. So you will see the experience from the end user. I didn't really need to do anything special. I just connected using my credentials. I immediately got some content from this hub, the branded dashboard, and when the entire brand package was finished downloading, you'll see that the branding was applied on the entire application UI. So the main logo, the application background, all of the UI elements throughout the app, so if you look at the title bars and buttons and even the little plus in the icon, are all branded to match the look and feel of American Express in this case. So this is the experience that you get in all clients. So if you were to connect from Windows Phone, your Windows Phone would be fully branded as American Express. Same with iOS and Android. So this is, as I mentioned previously, built through the entire product stack. So now when I go to create a dashboard, the new style, the new brand basically that I just received access to is integrated into the designer and becomes one of the options, and actually it's selected by default for dashboard creation. So it's very easy for me to go in and start creating new dashboards that are fully branded as American Express. So customers love this. Once they see a solution, even in a POC form, that contains their data and their branding like this in all of the mobile clients that are interested in, it is very hard for them to go back and consider competing solutions. So I encourage you to get in touch with us. We'll talk about the next steps, but we are available to work with the field teams on POCs and even to implement these kinds of brand packages to enable pitches in order to make sure we're successful. Okay, so this concludes the DataZen Windows 8 Viewer and Windows 8 Publisher part of the demo. Next, I would like to show our mobile clients, and I will start off with our iOS clients. So starting with our iPad client, just give me a second here. I'm going to share my iPad screen. I hope it's going to work. Here we go. So over here we're looking at, again, the DataZen viewer app, the native app that you can find for free in the iOS store, in the Apple store. So you simply can download that, install it for free, and then when you start the application, I'm connected to the same demo server as the one I was accessing from Windows 8 just a few minutes ago. But now, and I'm accessing the same content, but now my entire user interface and my entire experience has been adjusted to accommodate iOS UI paradigms. So I have my navigation at the bottom, I have KPIs, dashboards, have hub activity, then I can manage my collection of servers that I'm connected to, and then I have settings and so forth. So it's a fully featured client that allows you to interact and consume this content in a way that's immersive for iOS users. So for example, when I select the KPI, I get the activity and the list of the details for this particular KPI. We actually pick one that does have some activity. Here we go. So again, I'm able to consume the same content in a way that's natural to iOS users. I can go to the details and drill through to the dashboards from here. Let's maybe have a look at the dashboard experience. So here's the dashboard that we were looking at previously. Notice that we are rendering the phone form factor in portrait orientation, and then we'll be rendering the full master layout in the landscape orientation. So iPad and kind of tablet form factor customers get both options depending on the way they choose to use their device. So I'll just maybe show one or two more dashboards. This is the same content again as the one that we've been showing through the Windows 8 client. And I'll show the branding portion of the iOS client just to illustrate that point again. So I already pre-connected to the American Express hub, and as a user, I always have the final say which brand will be effective. So I'll just switch to the American Express brand, which was already available. So again, this is my iOS fully branded experience for American Express. And to be able to gain access to that, I really don't need to do anything other than connect to this hub with my credentials. So next, I would like to show the same experience on the phone form factor. So I'll actually take my iPod Touch here. It provides the same experience as the iPhone. So just give me a second here. So once again, this is our iOS app and we're demonstrating the phone form factor. I'm connected to the same content, and it is really striking to try this in person because all of this content fits perfectly in the palm of my hand, so to speak. Everything is very fluid and fully usable, quite legible. It's essentially fully featured, and it looks like it was designed for the phone form factor. And it looks that way because it was designed for these form factors, and this is, again, a point that we need to continue making in competitive conversations. So that same dashboard that I was accessing on my desktop and then the iPad, I can also access it from my phone. And the experience is comparable from Android phones and Windows phones as well. We actually have great native clients for all of those. I don't have time today to demonstrate all of them in action, but I'll actually provide a reference. But the point is that all of this content can very comfortably be consumed in all of these form factors, and this is quite unique in the marketplace. So this concludes the iOS very high-level overview demo. I'll just say that we frequently have situations where customers already have many thousands of iOS devices deployed in the field, and we typically tend to do well in situations where customer only requires iOS. So even though we favor Windows 8, our other clients are quite capable. In fact, I will just refer you to the DataZen website, and specifically the gallery section includes all of the screenshots for all of the apps that we have and all of the form factors. And each section contains a link to the actual app listing in the appropriate store. So you can see this is what DataZen looks like in Android tablets. This is what it looks like in Android phones. This is what it looks like in Windows Phone, and this is one of my favorite clients. It is a highly, highly capable client, and again, another differentiator for us in the marketplace. In the remaining time, I will focus on DataZen Server. So here I have the same DataZen Server instance that I've been connecting to as a user all along. Now I'm going to connect as an administrator of this server using our browser-based control panel administration utility. So all content administration is done using this browser-based control panel. So I logged in as administrator, and this is my entire user interface. You will see that it's quite extensive. There are quite a few things here. Obviously, we won't go through all of them. The top part of the menu is aimed at administrators, and it contains everything you would expect to see here as administrator. The bottom part is content. And notice how content is segregated into something we're calling BI hubs. BI hubs are a very powerful concept. You can think of it as a sort of multi-tenant solution within a single DataZen server deployment, where every hub is an organizational unit with its own set of users and its own content that those users are sharing. We're talking about KPIs, dashboards, data sources, custom maps, things of that nature. BI hubs can be very small, just a handful of users sharing a few things, or they could be very large. You could have thousands of users within a single hub sharing quite a bit of content. And the users can exist in multiple hubs at the same time, on the same server. So this is a very powerful way to segregate and organize your BI deployment in big corporations. I will skip KPI and dashboard management, and I will go straight to data sources because I know that this is typically the first question. So we'll go to data sources, and this is the part of the product where you actually define your connections to live data sources, and then you define your data views. So here we have our database connections. We can organize these into folders if we plan to have many of them, and this makes it easy to create discoverable kind of hierarchy of data views that you wish to expose to various users, and then you can set very granular permissions on every part of this tree. But to make a new data connection, we have a very simple screen, and this UI will show the totality of all data connection types that we support at this time. So we have SQL Server Relational, we have SSAS. This includes multidimensional and tabular models. We have SharePoint List, SQL Azure. Then we have generic data sources like OData Web Services or generic XML Web Services. Then we have ODBC and OLEDB providers, and finally Excel documents and network share. So this essentially covers all of Microsoft's data sources as well as the generic data providers. Once you create your data connection, you can go in and create any number of data views. And to create a data view, you essentially provide the view name, the refresh frequency. This is if you want the results to be cached in DataZen Server temporarily for performance reasons, or alternatively, you can set all these queries to be real-time and optionally provide parameters. This is how we handle very large data sets. You can allow or disallow client data caching for security reasons. So this is for offline mode. And then we enable personalization of data. So this enables you to implement row-level security where you can pass the identity of the user to the query, and then the user accessing the dashboard will get data results that match their particular situation. And I'll just mention that for SSAS, we support both kinds of personalization. We can personalize at the database connection string level as well as the query level. So you essentially use this UI to create connections to databases and create data views. And from there, it becomes very easy, as I already demonstrated, to browse through these available data views through the Publisher app and include them in your dashboards and publish content. So this is a very nice discoverable UI that we offer in our paradigm. So I'm not going to go any further in terms of server administration. It's obviously a big product and with a lot of features, but hopefully this gives you a high-level overview of how it's structured. And then if you have specific questions, I'd be happy to hear from you and discuss them in detail. Rest assured that the product is very scalable. Every element of the product is scalable, of the server product is scalable and can be scaled without sticky sessions. So we're talking about stateless scaling. So we can definitely have those conversations if you have additional questions. The final thing I'll show today is browser outputs of DataZen content. Anything that you publish to DataZen server is accessible in all of the mobile clients, but in addition to that, it's also accessible through a standard browser. So you point the browser to the viewer part of the server, and then you can log in and access the content you're looking for. Interestingly, the web content is not only accessible standalone in the browser, but it is designed to be easily embeddable into other applications. And here we have a great example of SharePoint UI integration. So we have a small SharePoint deployment here in our demo server, and we've created a web part basically with an iframe and pointed it to the output of HTML output of DataZen server. So this supports single sign-on authentication, so you don't need to log in twice. When this is configured, the user will automatically get the content they are supposed to see, as well as the data they're supposed to see. And then, as always in DataZen, the experience of consuming this content is quite seamless. You simply select the content you're interested in, and it renders seamlessly in the browser. So this concludes the live demo portion of our presentation today. I would like to talk about the next steps before I hand things over back to Debbie. So if you would like to learn more about DataZen, our website is a great source. We have some videos, we have some galleries. Definitely, I encourage you to try the free apps that are available in all the mobile stores. If this looks like something that could help in your customer situations, please feel free to get in touch. We made things simple, so you can just get in touch with me. My contact information is included here, and you will have this slide deck available as part of the Academy Live presentation. So you can get in touch with me, and I will put you in contact with the appropriate people in our team. We can really help very quickly with customer pitches and POC implementations, and those BI groups that are working with us are finding this to be quite valuable in their conversations. So this concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for joining today, and thank you, Debbie and Jenny, once again for the opportunity to present DataZen today. With that, I'll turn things back to you, Debbie.
Perfect. Thank you, Miljan. So, ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude today's Academy Live webcast. Again, all materials will be available internally on the Academy website within 24 hours. I'd like to extend a big thank you to our presenter, Miljan, and thank you, audience, for logging in and joining us today.